Hey everyone, welcome to Digital Charcuterie. My name is James Rosile, his name is Josh Lucas, and if you love Star Wars and asking questions, subscribe to this channel because we talk about that stuff right here on Digital Charcuterie. Today, I've been getting a bunch of emails about and comments about Reylo. So there's not one specific, this is just a whole bunch of you guys. Thank you so much for sending those emails. And they all had to do with Reylo and how Rian Johnson confirmed Reylo. Josh, you did a video on this like a week ago. Rian Johnson confirmed Reylo. He said that the hand touching.
Yes.
Do you want to do it right now?
Yeah. We're actually on Skype, so it's like a forced Skype
It
thing.
is.
Oh,
This
wait,
is actually forced
go
Skype.
like...
He said, so now it's awkward now. He said that that is actually the closest thing to sex that you will ever see in Star Wars. And a lot of people took that and ran with it, and some people said he's a crazy person.
Yeah.
And now you're on this because you are a shipper of the Reylo.
I'm a huge shipper of Reylo, but it's almost to my detriment at this point because YouTube, if I don't talk about Reylo, YouTube's like, get out of here. It doesn't want me to talk about anything else. So I'm sort of in a box here. But yeah, I happen to love Reylo. I ship Reylo. I think it's cool.
And do you think Rian Johnson's comments about that being the closest thing to sex, do you think that confirmed Reylo, at least in his mind?
Yeah, I mean, okay, so yes, I do, and it's crazy because like I still don't see how people don't see the romantic connection. I mean, I'm sure that there's a little bit of ambiguity there, but like they are so clearly going for that angle, and I mean, I didn't get too much of it in the novelization, but I felt like they're sort of holding it back. Some of my subscribers were like, "Oh, it's definitely in the novelization," but when I heard these specific comments that Ryan made, I was like, oh yeah, it's intimate as hell. I mean, he shot those scenes. They knew exactly what they were doing. The closest thing to a sex scene, I mean, get out of town, man. Like that is romance. That is the intimacy. And you know, it goes back to even in The Force Awakens when JJ was talking about that special relationship that they have. And I don't know why Disney and Lucasfilm was being so coy about this, because it's so obvious to me and to many others that it is indeed the case.
Yeah, I think, you know, a lot of comments I get is like, I don't want this Twilight bullshit in my Star Wars. But the Reylo thing is already there.
Yeah.
And it is weird that they're holding back on it so much. If it is actually what I think and what I think you think is that it's their end game is the Reylo thing. Like, why are they holding back? Why are they trying to surprise us? Rian Johnson said that The Force Awakens, the interrogation scene, was the moment he was hoping he got to play with the most, and that's why he created the Force Scapes and whatnot, and he got to really delve into that. So why can't they just come out and say, hey, yeah, this is the thing? I mean, Rian Johnson pretty much did, but what are they afraid to piss people off? Because do they forget that Han and Leia had a romance, that Luke tried to fit in that triangle of love with those guys as well? Anakin and Padme was also like, do they forget about or maybe that's what's scaring them off, is the Anakin and Padme romance?
Yeah, it could be. It could be that. I think to a degree, it's almost like a spoiler still. Like, I guess when you consider the fact that it's like a romantic connection, I think it's a little bit easier to assume that Ben Solo will be redeemed by her. I think it's a little bit easier to be like, okay, yeah, I can see like a clear-cut ending for these two when it comes to the Cosmic Force. Because one of the things I really do enjoy about the novel is that it talks a lot about the novel of The Last Jedi. It talks a lot about the Cosmic Force and sort of positioning these two together and why that's so important. And so I can't tell if it's like they're trying to downplay it because it's like a spoiler thing, or are they trying to downplay it because the reveal of the Cosmic Force pushing them together and their romance being sort of beyond just like a regular romance, but being like really important to the Force and to what's going on with the Jedi. Maybe that's a spoiler. You know what I mean? So it's hard to sort of get in their head, but it does sort of feel like they're halfway in, halfway out on this whole idea.
Yeah, it definitely does. Let's move on to what you just said about it, the possibility of this being the spoiler for episode 9. So a lot of the questions are, it's been confirmed. Where does it go now? What does it lead to in episode 9? What do you think Reylo will lead to in episode 9? Is it going to end with a giant makeout sesh at the end and then ba-dum? Is that what's going to happen? Or is it
that would be amazing. Yeah.
Can you imagine?
If that happened, people would be like, yo, The Last Jedi was the best. Because that would be awful. So this is what I think is going on. How dare you? Don't you start laughing like that. You're gonna make me crack. All right, so the way that I see it going down is that look, they represent yin and yang. What's so cool about yin and yang is like, although the one is the embodiment of the light and the one is the embodiment of the dark, they have bits of each other in them, right? So they have little pieces of the good. Like Kylo's like all black with a little bit of white, and Rey is similar. She's all white with a little bit of black. And I think that they truly, like, one of the things that sort of was understated in The Last Jedi, one of the things that I wish they would have approached a little bit differently, was this idea that Luke thought him being on the island was noble. He thought it was a noble thing because what he was trying to convey about the Jedi and why they need to end is because it's this endless cycle that the Jedi are perpetuating, where it's like light side, power, taking over, and then the dark side sort of comes back and rebels. And what Kylo and Rey represent is the light and dark coming to some kind of an arrangement, coming to understand the needs and the wants of the Force, of the cosmic Force. And so I think that their relationship is going to be exemplified in that. And do I think that they will? I think that they already have intimacy, okay? And intimacy defined as like sort of having moments that they've shared that no one else really knows about. They're both connected to the main players. They're both connected to Luke Skywalker in different ways. They're both connected to Leia in different ways. And so they have intimacy. I think Rey cares about him because when they connect, when they touch each other's hands and stuff like that, she sees like not just his anger and his fury and his frustration, but also like the pain inside him. And so one of the things here, and this is in that Death in the Maiden trope, is you start to peel away the layers and you see that the monster is not just a monster, that something happened to him, something created that there is still good inside him. And similar with Kylo, I think he just sees her strength and her prowess, and also that she's like still attached and that there's like loneliness that they both share. I think that they will, like it's such a weird idea here, but I think that they are going to gain even more respect for each other and love for each other, but their path as far as like what they're trying to accomplish for the story is going to be like opposites, right? So I think at the end of the day, what's going to happen is Rey will probably redeem Kylo, and he will leave behind everything going on to either like save her or to go balance the Force with her. And I think that if you look at just like the histories of the Skywalkers, like, man, it's probably going to end poorly for him, but he could be redeemed in the way where he's like, Rey needs to survive even if I don't. The First Order, this darkness going over everything, although that's a natural part of the cycle, that can't really be the way. But it's such a weird thing, right? Like how does that manifest? How could balance truly manifest? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's the struggle that the Force has been having for all these millennia.
Yeah.
The other thing though is a lot of people bring up that after in Last Jedi, Rey shuts the door on him in that last Force Skype, and she sees that he is a monster, and how can that translate in Episode 9? How can she come back to him in Episode 9? And I think you have to understand that there is conflict within him. And I think it's like Luke going back to Vader, right? Vader chopped off Luke's hand. And then even though it's his father, he's still like, I've got to go see Vader. This is going to end bad for you guys. I'm the only one that can deal with Vader. I would imagine there's a scenario that's going to play out similar to that, where Rey knows the only person that can stand up to Kylo in some aspect is her, and she's gonna have to go one-on-one with Vader, with Kylo, whether it be a laser sword fight or a conversation or a makeout sesh. She is the only one that can approach him in that respect.
Yeah, totally. She is definitely the only one that can approach him, and I think that it's so weird because he wants her to rule by his side. Like he wants that so badly. He doesn't feel a connection to anything else in the galaxy except for her. And like there's a cosmic element to that where they're sort of intertwined. Like I believe that what the Force ultimately wants, it's weird. Like you got to look at it from the this perspective of almost like an omnipotent sort of godlike thing. But like Kylo cannot keep perpetuating darkness, and Rey cannot continue to perpetuate light. But balance would not be him just becoming light side. Like that's not what's going to happen. That he needs to be the way that he is and embody like the darkness and sort of the rage and the frustration and the anger, and yet she needs to be there to balance him out. I would really love to see them actually rule together because I get like vibes. I tend to go like Game of Thrones type esque, and I think of them almost as like, you know, Targaryens or whatever, where like when you kind of like fear the king and you sort of like appeal to the lightheartedness of the queen. And there were moments in like the Joffrey relationship where people would appeal to the queen, and she seemed to be the only person that could get Joffrey to sort of not be an evil douchebag all the time. And so, but you sort of need both sides, right? That's what's interesting about it. I think ultimately, like, they are supposed to probably conceive a child together, and then like whatever, like this is what I'm thinking. The Force would be like, okay, here are these children, and you have to teach the new order of not Jedi or Sith, but you have to teach the new order of Force users to embody both the light and the dark, to see both sides and to equally, you know, sort of exist with that.
What do you think the odds of of a child, of them having a child is? Do you think it's like 100%?
No, it's definitely not 100%, but I do think that it will happen. What's interesting is, so, you know how Ryan said that that's the closest thing to a sex scene we'll ever see in Star Wars? Like, dude, you're talking about a world in which a virgin birth happened, and what if, like, Rey was literally impregnated during that finger touching scene? You know what I mean? And like people would be like, "Oh, that's ridiculous. That's crazy." It's like, it's really not outside of the realm of possibilities. Like it would be the cosmic force. Like it's not. It's just the cosmic force. Like when they touch hands, and you know, considering the fact that he says the sex part, right, that intimacy, they're like in each other, right? And like, what if like they literally bonded? And then there is a child. Like I could see that, and wow, like what if you're Kylo Ren? Like, come on, like how does that affect you? Like, what if you have a Force bomb moment with Rey, and you're like kicking ass, bro? Like you're like doing it. You're like, yeah, the First Order, we're doing this thing. Like, yo, I'm way better at this than Vader was. Like he's kind of feeling himself, and then Rey's like, I'm pregnant, and he's like, ah, shit.
Ba-dum.
Yeah, exactly right. See you in 10 years. It's like, oh man, that would be rough. So I would say my personal opinion is like it's a 70 to 80% chance that there will be children. I just think it makes sense. Like, and once again, this honestly, my gut tells me like it's like 90% because that is why they did this. That is why they were like, let's make Rey not a Skywalker. That way there's no incest, so we can have children. We'll make lots of money. You know
By the way,
what I mean?
I was on Facebook earlier today, and there are still people convinced that she is Rey's daughter. Or Luke's daughter. She's Rey's.
Dude,
Luke's
no,
daughter.
Rey is Rey's daughter.
Yeah. No, there's still people convinced that she is Luke's daughter.
That's
Convinced.
fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. I mean, look, that's there's plenty of idiotic things that people believe these days. So, you know, cheers to you. You know, keep that head in the sand. I don't like sand. It's coarse,
It's
cold,
rough.
and it gets everywhere. Yeah.
Well, that's, you know, let's end this now. Because I was going to ask you if
This ends no.
I was going to ask if you thought this would create a child, because I think that's a neat way to do it. But our audience is going to buy into it? Are they going to hate it on the same level they hate the Force birth that Anakin has shared? I think it'd be cool if it was the Cosmic Force created a baby, but Kylo is the definite father.
Right. Exactly.
And that leaves the door open for Disney Lucasfilm to go back and be like, okay, we could tell more Skywalker stories now because
100%. And I think it'll be delayed, right? It'll take like some time because we're gonna do, you know, we're gonna do this crazy Rian Johnson trilogy. And I heard that the main character in Ryan's trilogy is that weird alien that's screaming in the Canto Bight scene. Ah! That opera lady. That's the whole trilogy, guys.
I'd watch that twice.
Yeah, I would not. And so that's the main. So we're going to do that with Ryan, and then you got the Dan and Dave films, which are going to be the Old Republic, right? And then like 6 to 8 to 10 years later, when you and I, can you imagine this, dude? Like I'll be 40, you'll be what, like 80
30,
by then? Yeah, no,
I'll be
kidding.
40. I'll be 46 ish.
And we'll be doing these shows like with VR and stuff. And you know what? I still think OBS and Skype will both suck in 10 years. But in either case,
I still won't have internet either.
I know, right? Oh my God. If you guys knew all the trouble it was to create this content, you'd maybe support us on Patreon. Anyways, yeah, so that's my answer. Did I even answer the question? Is this thing on?
Yeah, seriously. No, that's a good Reylo talk. People, look, man, it was confirmed. It was confirmed in a way that I think satisfies the people that really, really wanted the Reylo, and I think it could satisfy the people that were so wholly against it in a way that you had it and you didn't even realize it. Relax, like just relax. It's happening.
Yeah, and once again, this is the last thing I'll say. I think that it's so obvious, and yet they're not coming right out and saying it, and maybe that's okay. Because maybe these kind of conversations with people, the sort of like, I don't believe it, that sort of attitude and just the denial and everything. Like you said, people think she's a Skywalker still. There's also, maybe that's it. Maybe they just want the mystery. And I'm okay with that because I personally, I like being right. And it's fun that Reylo is obviously real and the case. And it's fun that people are blind to it.
There you go. That's Josh from the Den of Nerds. Josh, anything you want to tell the viewers here about your channel?
Guys, I have a YouTube channel, and I do a show Monday through Friday, and I've been putting a lot of work into the show, and YouTube has responded by not pushing my videos out to people. So if you like the things that come out of my mouth parts, maybe go over to the channel, give it a subscribe, and give it a notification bell click or something, I guess, because YouTube is hell-bent on not allowing me to get videos out. So, let's fix that organically.
All your videos should just be called Reylo is ...
Look, I love Reylo, but there's plenty of other stuff that I want to talk about, Yeah. And what was funny is, like, as I look more, this is not a topic your subscribers want to hear about, but like, YouTube is in a transitional period right now, and there's weird stuff going on behind the scenes. That's all I'll say.
All right, guys, thanks for watching. If you want to learn more about YouTube analytics and algorithms, subscribe to the Den of Nerds. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Again, if you love Star Wars, if you love Reylo, if you don't love Reylo, if you love Poe Dameron, if you love Finn, if you love Rey, if you love Luke, if you love Han, give us a subscribe. We talk about it here. We talk about it at Rebel Scum Podcast as well and on the Den of Nerds. So give us a subscribe. And until next time, ciao for now.
Ciao for now. 8 out of 10 times.